Hey there, Wargamers, Just here in Paint here. Today we're going to talk about some HexTech. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the channel today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, please alpha strike that like and subscribe button. But if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for having my six. I appreciate you being an awesome lance mate, star mate, whatever the case may be for you. Thank you for tuning in. And for all of you newcomers as well, thank you for being here as well. So today we're going to talk about some HexTech, but no, not something from League of Legends. We're going to talk about the new terrain that Gale Force 9 from Battlefield Box has put out using the designs from Thunderhead Studio. Before we get into that today, though, I want to give a big shout out to Robert from Fortress Ventures and Games for hooking up the channel and sending me a set of these as fast as he could so we can get a review out for the channel and start using them into battle reports when I can start filming. I'd like to thank you guys for being patient with me as we try and start getting back into the groove of putting out some content, filming some battle reports, and so forth. As many of you may know, I've been dealing with a move and trying to do call repairs and stuff, so things have been a little bit slow. And as we enter August, we're going to be prepping for Nova Open here at the shop and for the events that I'm running. So I'm going to be really, really stressed and strapped for time. So I'm going to try my best to get content out. So for those of you guys who are still supporting what I do, thank you. And again, big shout out to Bobby for sending over this stuff for me to use for the channel, even though there's been a little bit of a lull in the content. So with that being said, today we're going to jump into these products that he sent over, and I can tell you at first glance, there's no prices on the packaging, and I don't have prices in front of me, so I can't tell you that. So yes, that's awesome. I didn't prep. Let's see if I can bring up the prices, and we'll do a quick edit here. And we're back. So easy enough to bring this up on the website. Let's switch over cameras here and we'll talk about the price of each one, and then we'll start opening these bad boys up. So first up, we've got the Hex City Condo, and this one right here is coming in at 35 MSRP, $28 from Fortress Ventures and Games. We have got the, let's see here, the Corporate Office. This one is coming in also at $35, and he's got it up for $28 as well. We have got the Estate, Trinity Estate. Let's grab that one. It's behind stuff. This one is coming in at $35 as well, so $28 for that one with Bobby's discount. Boom. We have got the Justice Tower here. This one is the first one that's a different price. This one is $30. Coming in at $24 with his discount. We have got the Precinct, which is the biggest of the boxes. This one's coming in at $40 MSRP, and he's selling it for $32. And then finally, we have got the University, MSRP at $35, coming in at $28. So for quick math here, we've got $28, $32, so that is $60 so far for 1, 2, 4 buildings. Then we had the tower, which was coming in at $24, so we've got $84 so far. Then we've got the Estate, which was this one, another 2 buildings. So that is going to be another 28. Where are we at? 60 plus 24, so 84. 112 so far for 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 buildings. What did I say? That was 112, I think. Then we've got the Corporate Office and the Condo, which are both 28, so that's going to be 56 more to the 112 plus 56. I can do math. 168, I think, is what we said. So like $168 or so for 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 11 buildings. 11 buildings. So a little bit over, I guess pretty close to like maybe $15 a piece-ish, a little bit less probably. Quick math, you guys at home can do the math. But you're getting 11 buildings for less than $20 a piece, probably more like the 13 or something. I don't know, quick math. Not too bad for the price, and these are pre-painted, which is awesome. And to that end, on that note, let's not just talk about the pretty packaging and the price tags. Let's actually whip some of these bad boys open and check out what they look like. So that is for the nice unboxing point of the video. Before we get into that, we will actually show the packaging for a moment. Let's see if I can get a little tighter here for you guys. There we go. So obviously the back is going to talk about what's in here. It's going to show you the building and a rough approximation of the painting. It may vary. It's going to have a hex base that these can pop on and off of, which is great. I don't have a hex mat down on the table today for you guys, but these will conform to some degree. Designed by Christopher Wales, if I said his name right. I always just call him Thunderhead, but that's Thunderhead Studios. Obviously, Gale Force 9 and the packaging, so forth. And the branding was 100% definitely not supposed to look like Battletech. If you have no idea what this is for, this should give it away. It definitely looks like it. So, and again, fully painted, as it says so in the little sticker. So, that said, let's whip out our little sharp object here. And remember, don't cut yourself at home, folks. Cut yourself isn't good. We'll go ahead and pop this open and see what the contents look like. Get our cellophane off here. So I can tell you, as soon as I whip that off, I'm a sucker for matte packaging. That is pretty reasonably matte. That's pretty nice, actually. Nice and taped up. I think that one's already up. That's not cut from the cellophane, so we'll do it again. All right, let's get this box open. So this is the condo. And we've got one part that's got some heft to it. I should have got some scales that have been interesting just for the data, but got some heft to it. One of the base plates. We've got the other building. There should be one more base plate. No, maybe it's included. Maybe it's double here. So no inserts or anything in there, just bubble wrapped material. So let's see what these look like. Let's go ahead and open up the plates first because those are going to be relatively easy to tackle, I think. Alright, so I can tell you, nothing on the bottom. This appears to be cast resin. You can see the bubbles in here. Let's get a little tighter so you guys can see what you're getting here. Not the end of the world, no one cares about the bottom. The top is what matters. There is a little bit of a dip here. I can tell you that from DRB's perspective, this probably wouldn't have passed QC because that is, this isn't flush, which this happens with resin pours. You can see that's getting real thin here, so this isn't going to be, oh, that's actually, oh, interesting. This isn't, I thought this was hard resin. This is different. This still wouldn't have passed QC because the material's not there, but this is flexible, so it's not going to break. Interesting. This is more like the material for their roads and the trees, rivers, whatnot, the base plates. So interesting. So that's nice. This won't break. I will say this, when I have had these stored in, or this type of material stored in boxes, I've had to be careful not to have them stacked on top of each other, especially with heat and weight on them, because the pressure they eventually stuck. Some of the paint came off. With these, the repainting wouldn't be that big of a deal. Probably not going to care either way, but that is something to note because it's kind of a rubbery material. I didn't realize until I actually bent on it or started putting pressure on it that it was going to bend. This one is a little better. There's one spot here, probably the same area on both, I would guess, that is kind of a little weaker. Not the end of the world though. So we'll see how the buildings interface with them and see how we feel about that. Let me see if I can actually aim this camera down a little. It's gonna make it a little bit easier for me to film for you guys. Just a little bit. Okay, so pop a little zoom out here and let's whip open one of our condo buildings here. Okay. The packaging is nice and bubble wrapped just to make sure that there's no damages that occur. Of course, once you start tossing these back into your bins and stuff, you may get a little dinged up, but that's okay. It happens. All right, so this is cool. It's got like a felt bottom. Not going to scratch your tables. That's nice. That's really nice. The picture's got, again, it's got some heft to it. It's pretty heavy. Paint job wise, obviously looks like colors are blocked in. Nothing super fancy. Dry brushed. Honestly, this looks perfect for the table, in my opinion. For me personally, minis are the focus, the terrain is the backdrop, so if it looks good enough, that's great. This comes out of the box, no assembly required and painted, and I think that's fantastic. I'm also lazy, so this is the product I like. I own a bunch of that from the box stuff. Let's see how that interfaces with the base plate here. Okay. Yeah, alright, so that slides on there pretty well. I expected the base plate to be hard, but I think that the rubber material is probably good. Also means less likely to scratch or chip the bottoms of this. Interface is pretty good because you can see where the kind of staple look there interfaces with the door. So let's slot in. and that means our other corporate building here, or should be condo here, is going to pretty much be another one, probably a slightly different color based on the packaging there. So this is going to be more the charcoal gray color. It's not. Okay. So this one is a brighter one. Same kind of felt material. Looks good. So interesting. That's probably more of a lighting thing or just discrepancy in the colors. So there's our two condos. The picture makes it look like it is very dark. So the picture, I was assuming this was going to be a bit more yellow beige or sandy. So a bit more of a bone, I suppose, or ivory. Not the end of the world. And I thought this one was going to be darker. Not the end of the world. So again, that could just be some photo stuff, flash photography, or post editing that has gotten these guys looking slightly different. And also, I mean, the package does say, put it over here, you know, supply painted contents may vary. So that is a likely thing to happen, in my opinion, for things for like 28. You don't get a lot of building, but what you do get is you don't have to build them and they come pre-painted. And if I'm honest, my time is valuable and I'd rather spend it doing other stuff for me personally. For you, this might not be the product if you are trying to save money, but if you have the funds and you're trying to save time, this is great. And that's a big deal for me. Again, I don't have as much free time. Again, so I'm doing YouTube videos and working. But some of you guys, that's probably the same thing. You probably have jobs, you may have significant others, family duties, other hobbies you do. Anything that takes away from those things, it means less time for those things. So for this, any amount of time I don't have to spend building or painting is more time spent doing anything else. But if you're into the hobby side of it, you could buy the STL versions. Now, I do wish I had copies of printed versions of these here. I don't. I do have some other stuff from Thunderhead to show for scale purposes, and I was asked to grab some of my AO stuff, so we'll have things for scale purposes to put next to that. However, I don't have any 3D printed stuff for this. DRD will be manufacturing this though, which is nice. I suppose before I move on to the next box, I could show you height. So with base plate, this is approximately just under 3 inches, or right at 3 inches, give or take. Without base plates, let's do a little check here. So just under 3, or like just right around 2.5 or so. And let's actually get this with the base plate here. I apologize, bear with me here. I'm trying to hold this under camera at a weird angle to get these. So yeah, with the base plate, still maybe like 2 3/4 or so. So most of my stuff is done where like each inch is roughly a height, and everything is almost always in some derivative of 1 inch. I'm not sure how Thunderhead does this stuff. So let's go ahead and pop open our estate here. Check out what we got in this one. And whoop. So one of the things that I thought was going to occur, thought there was going to be a little insert in here that was going to talk about where you can get the STL 3D printed versions of these, which is Death Ray Designs. You get the STLs from Thunderhead, obviously, and then the physical prints from DRD. We were teaming up with them, and we thought this was going to have an insert in it. It doesn't. But if you're watching this and you want to get physical printed ones of this, not painted ones, DRD is your place to go. If you're looking to get STLs, check out Thunderhead. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description to Thunderhead's site. If I don't, someone drop me a comment here and I'll pin it and update my description. I like Chris, he's a cool dude. Sometimes he messages me on Discord when I put up videos, because apparently he watches my videos from my tiny little podunk channel. So I appreciate that. And he's a cool guy, try to show some love. So here is our base plate. So unlike the other ones, these are actually a little rounded versus flat. Probably not the end of the world, but yeah, again, a little bit of QC stuff. And that one, again, you know, you could probably fix this yourself, but that probably would have been something we fixed if we were putting out something. Shouldn't be like a little bubble on there, especially because you want these to lay flush. Again, not the end of the world, but something I'm noticing here first glance. Trying to give you guys an honest look. I don't think that necessarily takes away, but honest look. I do like the footprint of that, where the indentation. I think that these buildings are going to have interesting shape, so I am curious to see how they look. And we're supposed to have 2 estate buildings here, so let's see. Get this open. There's one. Oh, so these were bubble wrapped inside bubble wrap. All right. Good. Oh, that was not, I did not puncture enough. That was my Johnny Bravo. To get these open. Alright, so here is our first estate. Interesting. Let's check how the colors match up. It looks almost identical, but you're going to get some variance, and that's fine. And honestly, a little bit of variance probably is going to make the immersion on the table a little bit better, I think. I love the shape. The shape is interesting. It's uniform in color with those. Let's check height real quick. Where'd I put my measuring tape? There it is, right on the table where it should be. So height on that is just under 4.5, and with the base plate, let's try that again. Little struggle. Right at 4.5. So if using the base plate, it's going to be a slightly different height. If I'm playing Alpha Strike, honestly, I could go either way. I might use the base plates just to give them a little stability, especially like this one, because the interesting footprint kind of gives it like a little bit of a tip. But there's enough heft to these, they're probably not going to fall over, but I feel like with the base plates you might just get a little bit extra traction though. Is this the one with the dimple? No. I am noticing because the base plates weren't perfectly flat, this has got a slight wobble to it. That's it. Let's grab open this other one. This should be the beige one of the pair. There we go. I'm assuming this one's going to look very similar to this one. And it does. And it should interface with this one pretty easily. Yeah, and that one's the one with the little nub. Yeah, so the foot is lifted up here a little bit. I mean, that's easily fixed because this is rubber. You can probably shave that off, but right out of the box, probably shouldn't be that way. So yeah, so we've got our estate. We've got our 4 condos. So 4 of our, I think it's 11 buildings already out here. So let's go ahead and grab our next one. I think we'll leave the Justice Tower towards the end. Actually, all these are looking pretty unique, so I think we'll just grab what we grab. Next one that was easiest within arm's length is the corporate office. So go ahead and grab that bad boy here. Get them popped open. Sometimes in life, when you're opening stuff, sound effects makes it all better. You know, if you're my age and you're going to work, you're squatting down to pick something up, there's a lot of grunting, like, and your knees are cracking. But when you're opening stuff, you gotta have sound effects when you're opening up your toys. You have enough sound effects if you're old and your body's falling apart on you. You gotta have sound effects when you're doing something good too, right? I don't know where I was going with that, but it sounded funny to me. So, this is our corporate office. Let's get these base plates popped open. Okay, so this is an interesting shape here. These actually, of the base plates we have done, these look a lot better than the first 2 so far. Yeah. These look way better than the first 2, or first 2 boxes. Again, not a huge deal, not a deal breaker, but the quality on this, like the overall finish, them being flush or level is much better. So different footprint so far. Let's grab our first building, and again, like because I'm opening from the bottom, I can see the felt. Loving that. I believe this is something that they had on the old MechWarrior Dark Age terrain as well. If Battlefield the Box did that, or Gale Force 9, I don't know if they existed as Battlefield the Box at the time, but Gale Force 9 did it. I really like that too. These are nice. Again, these have some heft. If you do this to somebody, it will hurt. It would really hurt. That's probably, that might be like a pound. I'd have to weigh it, but like it's pretty hefty. I dig the shape of the building. Very cool. I imagine if you wanted to enhance these 2, it would not be too hard for you to grab a paintbrush, some washes or something, and do some slight detail work on it if you wanted to, but I'm really pleased with the way these look. Though this one's giving me trouble actually interfacing with the base plate. Looks like there is some tolerance issues. Interesting. I don't think it's the felt, I think it's the base plate. It's kind of on there, but not as foolproof as a fit as the first two buildings, but that is kind of sort of on there. It's just not perfect. For classic, probably good enough, but again, trying to show you guys what I'm noticing with this so that you have a pretty good idea. These are good, and I appreciate getting free stuff to review, but I'm not going to ham it up and lie to you about stuff. If I see a thing, I'm talking about it. Also, I'm talking about it here. Naturally, probably not going to edit that out. I want to give you guys an honest review, so if I see a thing, we're going to talk about a thing. So, but please don't take that as me bashing. Little anxiety, worry about this kind of thing, but that is not the case, just giving honest opinions. So yeah, different color for our corporate office here. One thing I did notice is the detail here. It's a little shallow, actually it's a little janked up and shallow, kind of messed up compared to that one. Again, not the end of the world, but noticing some variations in them. And right here at the bottom too, so it probably has to do with the casting process. And we'll see how this one interfaces with the building. Yeah, so same kind of issue. You can see, like, whoops. So again, camera's in an odd spot. I'm trying to kind of key this in on one of the sides. So I'm like keying that in right here. And like, that's got a pretty reasonable like lock in, but the area here isn't perfect. And then when I key that to the side, that is not lining up. So then I'm having to like slide it over to try and get it to line up. And then it's kind of in there, but this one's kind of not. So I'm trying to find the middle ground, but when you get the middle ground, so if I'm keying here and shoving those in, like, it's just the fitment's a little off. I think it has to do with this probably warping a little. Not the end of the world, but this one does not fit quite as easily or as snugly as the other ones. Again, not the end of the world, but that is a thing that I have noticed when I was putting these guys on the table. So let's scatter these about and grab our next building. Next one up, the university. Let's go ahead and pop that bad boy open. And like, as soon as I open it, did the same thing. Gotta open it. That kind of made me think of the Matrix. Some Lawrence Fishburne noises when he's fighting the agents. You know, he's very vocal with the fights. All right, so yeah, our next one. Let's get our base plate popped open here. All right, so this footprint here looks like it's probably going to be, it's interesting, but maybe a little easier to socket than those. The bottoms look pretty reasonable compared to the first two again, which had the kind of dips. These are not so bad. Actually, honestly, pretty good. So let's pop open our university buildings. I do think thus far with this set, there are some things you could duplicate, but I honestly think one of each is probably going to do you just fine, especially if you play Classic, because your map sizes are so much smaller usually. Some of you guys play large games, but if you're playing just kind of like one map, it's good. So yeah, there we go. So the thing I like at first glance on this is the juxtaposition between the kind of rounded backside of the building, which is an interesting shape, and then when you come over here, you get that flat facade with the interesting windows. I think that's cool, and it breaks up the footprints on the table. So I like that. So that's pretty neat. Now let's see how well that interfaces here. Yes, 100% much better than the corporate buildings did. 100% much better. Whoop. Across the set thus far, paint looks pretty uniform. Everything looks like it matches, which is good. They're slightly different again from the boxes, but amongst themselves, they look pretty good. This is probably going to vary from batch to batch a little bit, which honestly probably isn't a bad thing if you're buying multiple sets of this and you waited, which I think is a good idea. I would wait. If you're going to get a full set of this and you want to get more, wait a little bit. See if they do like a second run. If you're worried they're not going to do a second run, obviously you can just pick up what you want. But I think that there is some merit to getting a second run of these where there's slight variances in color and process, because on the table it's going to make your buildings look different. Walk downtown in a city and look at the buildings and really look at them. They're all slightly different shades. Birds have pooped on it differently. There's different wear patterns and rust streaks and so forth, or crime streaks. I think the variance in, because this is done by basically a human, I'm pretty sure, I don't think I have a robot doing this. Because you're getting that variation from a human hand and the variances in paints and pigments as you go, I think from set to set these will probably have slight variations, and on the table if you put them all together it's probably going to look really good. If you want them all to be the exact same shade, sure, I get it, if that's what you're into, but if you're trying to emulate a good city and have immersion, I think having slight variance between them is good. And if you really got to get it now, you could come in with the airbrush and hit these with some slightly different tints and stuff and change it yourself. So anyway, this is the other university building, the more beige of the two. And now I'm going to try this with one hand, see if I can get that on there. Yeah, socketed reasonably easy. Very cool. Whoop. Now I'm going to come inside here and make sure really bad. Alright, so there is our university buildings. Slide this off to the side. Oh, I didn't give you heights on this or the other one. From base to the top here, this one is right at 3.5. With the base, I'm assuming it's probably going to be about 3 3/4. Approximately. Pretty close. And then I don't know if I did the corporate, so we'll do that real quick as well. Without base plate from the first level, I guess I should go on the other one too. About 2 3/4 to the top level, about 3.5. And then for the first level with the base plates, if I can get this, there we go. About probably 2 3/4 or so, give or take, and this one's right at 3.5 or so. And then to come back to our university, because I didn't give you this level, that is about 2 3/4-ish. Rough approximations. That's why I'm putting the ruler up so you guys can see it. I'm looking at a slightly side angle on these, so you guys may be getting a better view from the camera. With the base plates, the lower level is actually, I'm getting almost the same reading, so still pretty close, between 2 3/4 and 3 inches ish. All right, so we've got 2 left. Let's go ahead and grab the TCPD precinct. So that's the Trinity City Police Department precinct. I think that is cool. So let's go ahead and do this. Oh, I had a vision of me going too fast, so this would cut my finger, and that would have been great for comedy value, especially if I had, like, you know, ketchup and squeezed it. But I definitely would have slipped my finger open. Pocket knife there is pretty sharp. So, all right. So we got 1 building, 2 building, and the base plates. So let's get those base plates open first, and we'll zoom out a little bit here. We've got more material on the table and larger buildings. I'm trying to be careful because I couldn't quite see where the seam was on that. I don't want to gouge these with a pocket knife. All right. So as someone who's done a lot of Thunderhead printing at work, he has very unique base plates sometimes, and this one's a new one to me. It's like a little butterfly or something. So yeah, the base here, not too bad. You can see there's a little thickness to it where they didn't get it quite flush with what they wanted here. Not the end of the world, but you can see it. And then this one's much better. Again, those are just small things, but trying to show it to you guys as I see it. That's an interesting X in there. Oh, we can slot that there. We can slot. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Seeing how we would get the nachos together. All right. So the first of our precinct buildings. We're definitely taped up pretty good. Woo! Neat. This one is pretty neat. I am loving the footprint on this. Very cool. Look at that. There you go. I will say that the play area up top for mechs and stuff is very small, and I probably wouldn't risk putting stuff there. You could try. This one's not too bad. Putting 1 dude here is good, but you're probably going to struggle to get more than maybe 2 comfortably, but then I personally wouldn't want wobble because I would not want my models to fall, especially metal ones. That's me. Again, color fit is fitting in with those pretty well. Let's grab our measuring tape now that I'm remembering. We're going to get to the very end. I don't have a process dialed in. This one is approximately 4.5 for the top surface, probably about 1 inch for the bottom, right at 1 inch for the bottom. And if we pop it on this base plate here, see how easy that interface is. And that is a pretty snug fit. It looks like it's mostly in there. Alright, so start with the bottom one this time. That is about 1.25 inches or so. And then the top is probably going to be about 5 inches, I think. No, 4 3/4 or so. So there is precinct building number 1. And we'll grab precinct building number 2. And there we go. Got that one open. Again, I really like the footprint. I like the shape. The interesting look of it is pretty neat. And yeah, despite the base plate being a little snug, goes on there easily enough. And then finally, last but not least, we've got the Justice Tower. The Fortress of Not Solitude, because in the Battletech land, we're blowing stuff up. There's no, I guess there might be solace in it, but it's not quiet. If it is quiet, somebody's preparing to unleash an attack on you. You're gonna launch the dagger into your back, because that's what the Capellans do. Right? Alright, so let's get this box open. Boom. And we've got our base plate, and I believe this is the only one that's a single, and probably because it's heavy. So let's go ahead and open our base plate first. Take the bottom. Alright, so this is a footprint I'm used to from Thunderhead. I'm used to this star pattern. What are we calling this? This is our like 7 hex, I think. So yeah, I guess I could look at the bottom. Again, some of the same issues I was talking about before. You can see where it was like cut away and trimmed, not perfectly flush. Some of them have a little bit of a curve to it, but probably not the end of the world as long as it works. As long as it works. Let's get our tower open here. That's a noise. Yes, a noise. Boom. Oh, there we go. Sorry, slightly off the camera there. This one's a little bit quicker. Look it over. Alright. Look at that. I dig the shape. Very cool. I do wish that this was a 2-pack, and I will tell you why. All these other ones are 2-packs, and you get the beige and the gray. This one you only get the gray. I would have liked to have had 2 of them. It doesn't seem that different from that one. The height seems pretty close. It was a little taller. The overall girth's a little bit bigger. I honestly think having the second one would have been good. But you know, they do what they do. It is heavy. That is got some heft to it. But I just for keeping things symmetrical, which is the thing I like, I would have liked to have had options to get to the other colored one. Sure, you could do it yourself, but out of the box you're paying for the pre-painted, and that would be not the end of the world though. Let's check it on the base plate. Okay. Not too bad on the interface, not as snug as the others, but it is on there. Curling a little bit on the edge, but it's on there. Let's get us a height. So height with base plate and without. So top to bottom is approximately 5.5-ish, and top to bottom is approximately 5 and maybe 1/4. So there you go. And that'll be all 11 buildings for the Trinity City Gale Force 9 Battlefield Box pre-painted terrain from Thunderhead Studios, provided to us by Fortress Miniatures and Games. But before we sign off today with the unboxing/review, let's get some size comparison. So this is one of Thunderhead's FDM printed models. Let's grab this is the corporate HQ. Let's see kind of height difference. There you go. And this one relative to the other one, there's your little mech bro. This is one of Austin's Jade Falcons. This is a little mech. And a little mech. So, and I think it's cool that he can kind of like get under that ledge. That's cool. And I've got one of Thunderhead's large things. This is part of the solar condenser bundle, I think. from, it's not Fluid Works, forget, like maybe Power Complex, but you can see like the height, pretty big difference with the FDM. That said, if they were doing that big honkin' boy this thing out of their process for the pre-colored, it would be a small fortune, so I get why they chose what they chose. Also, these are infinitely probably more desirable for the community. And then I was asked about some of my AO stuff, so here is one of my logistics buildings, and we'll use the same one to be held standard. So my stuff is very simple, but I wanted to have the play area, play surface on the top. We've got this similar kind of thing going on, for heights to the other ones. And scale on mine is a little larger, touch larger, because I wanted stuff to be, this is very functional for Alpha Strike, and that was my thing that someone asked, so I'm putting on here as a comparison. I'm just using some ones. So, with these, you're getting much taller things. There's nothing really on the short side, which would be cool. I'm not sure what Thunderhead's got as offerings for short buildings for this, but that's one thing that we do, and I want to give you guys the size comparison as well. So there we go. That's the Gale Force 9 Battlefield in a box. So let's transition here, and we'll talk about my thoughts on this, and do I think it's worth picking up, and so forth. So for this set, I think we were saying it was going to be, we've got 6 kits, averaging $24 to $30-ish a piece. Ends up being around 11 buildings for under 160. I think it was like 156. Quick math in my head, I can't remember. It's not 10 times 11 would be 110. 15 times 11 would be 165. So under $15 a building. And in my head, the way that computes is what would the cost of a building be, and how much would it cost to have it painted? So yes. You could maybe get one of these cheaper, unpainted. What is your time worth to you? And that is kind of how I value it. So at $15 for a out-of-the-box per building, or on average, cost to me is good, because I don't have to prime it, I don't have to prep it, I don't have to paint it. If I was saving $5 a building maybe for painting, is the trade-off worth it? Would I pay someone $5 to paint all this? Maybe. You know, like if it was $5 per building, there's 11 buildings, $60 to paint this whole thing, that's probably still pretty fair, right? I don't know if that's the actual case. I'm just throwing out like my perspective on how I view that. So that is part of what goes into this, the convenience. I think for, let's call it 160 and round up, $160 for this for a table. For some people, it's going to be a little bit expensive, but this is probably good enough for Classic. You're probably good to go for Alpha Strike. You grab this, grab some maybe trees from Battlefield in a box and Gale Force 9. That's good stuff too. Maybe some rivers, things like that, to intermingle and weave with your terrain set. And then maybe you're coming in closer to 200, but your table is done for like $200, and you didn't have to build or paint. So you bought it, pulled it out of the box, and got to playing. And in a game system where, and in wargaming in general, in my opinion, where the minis are the focus and the terrain is the backdrop, the terrain doesn't have to be crazy blowing smoke up your butt. Awesome, just needs to look good enough. So for me, I would encourage you to spend lots of time on your minis if that's what you're interested in doing, and have the terrain looking good enough. If you're doing something for a display board or photography, yeah, sure, you could go overboard. This isn't what that is for. If you're trying to do that, you could buy this and repaint it, but you could just, get the STLs from Thunderhead printing yourself, or pick up some 3D printed versions of this from Death Ray Designs if you're worried about that. But as this product, I think, is marketed for people who want to play the game and not focus too much on the hobby side of the terrain, I think this is a good pickup. We also compared sizes of it to at least one or two of the Thunderhead FDM prints. Sizes seem to be pretty standard. I was really hoping we would have had some physical 3D prints of these, but the way that the process works for Death Ray Designs in regards to this is, as long as Gale Force 9 is producing or has produced the physical pre-colored versions of these, Death Ray Designs will not be offering the 3D version of this until they rotate into a different product line. So we'll interweave. If these are ever on back order, so to speak, I don't know what the term will be for Gale Force 9, but if these are not produced for a certain period of time, then we will have to go ahead to produce the 3D printed versions of this, and I believe you can still get the STLs from Thunderhead, and that's what will happen. So Gale Force will pick up another set they do them pre-colored, and we will stop producing the physical, and then as they rotate to another one, we'll start picking up the physical again, so we're kind of interweaving. So that explains why we don't have them printed, because there was no reason to prototype it yet. I would have liked to have had it, because we do have the files just for comparison's sake, so that you would see should you go down the route of the STL. So in closing, I think it's a good pickup. For some of you, it might be a little bit expensive. You may want to focus your hobby dollars more on miniatures versus the terrain right now, and I totally get that. If you do have the hobby funds, I think it's great value to pick up something that is pre-painted out of the box. Not a bad deal. Relative to that, for the things that I produce and DRD produces, the MDF terrain kits that we do, they may be cheaper, dollar for our building, dollar per building type of thing, but you do got to build them, you do got to prime them, you do got to paint them, and there's certain detail limitations on the MDF that the FDM, or 3D printed, or in this case the resin cast stuff, or whatever process they were using, brings to the table that enhances it, makes it look a little bit better. So you have to pick and choose what works for you. That said, in closing today, I think I have rambled long enough. Big shout out to Bobby from Fortress Miniatures and Games for hooking up the channel with this and supporting what I do. Thank you, Bobby. If you guys are looking to pick up anything Battletech at all, check out the link in the description below. Supporting Fortress helps support me too, as he helps send me stuff and wants to see the channel grow. Bobby's a cool guy. If you want to help support what I do in my day job, check out Death Ray Designs. We got a coupon down below as well, save you a little bit of money. And if you do like painting terrain of your own, down below, check out Monument Hobbies. Pro Acrylic is my primary paint line, used for 99.9% of my stuff that I paint, and I think you would do really good on this trade if you want to do some of that as well. Finally, if you want to be a super supporter like these fine folks that we're going to have pop up here and scroll, the patrons that support the channel, I highly thank them. I appreciate them. They're helping me do what I do here. If you want to join them, that would be awesome. It's a way to help support. As always, thank you so much for helping support what I do. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed this, but it's time for me to go, because if I don't, I will continue to ramble. Keep painting your models, keep rolling your dice, maybe pick up some terrain to play your games with, and I'll catch you guys next time.